Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining Nevine and I today. My name is Soila. I'm the founder of the divorcemagazine.co.uk. And it's been running just not for very long. It's about since January. We're in 2014 and it's doing really well. Lots of information on there, lots of help, lots of advice for people going through divorce and separation. So join us, visit us and see what you can find there. And my background is in child psychology. I work with children and families that are going through a traumatic moment in their life, whether it's divorce, whether they've experienced something traumatic. And today we have Nevine, and I won't tell you any more about Nevine. I will allow her or let her or ask her to please introduce herself.
Hi everyone, I'm Nevine Bentley. I'm the founder of Facilitate Family Mediation. I'm a family mediator. I trained as a family lawyer, but formed my own practice, dedicated practice to family mediation about 18 months ago.
Okay.
And I'm based in Farnham in Surrey.
Okay, and that's really today. We're going to actually have a video, a recording, an interview of you going from being a family lawyer to mediation and talking about mediation. But for now, we're going to talk about your journey, your divorce journey, and the fact that you and Roy are still very good friends despite the divorce. Was it always like that, Nevine?
I think in the early days, I have to be honest and say no. It took supreme effort on both our parts. It's not, in order to make a divorce less acrimonious, amicable even, it takes two. You've both got to try. Otherwise, it doesn't last. And the person who's doing all the compromising, all the effort, soon gets fed up of it and says, I'm resenting this. And it breaks down. So when both parties are dedicated to keeping it as amicable as possible, then it works. But we did find it hard. I think I probably found it harder than Roy, who is naturally a very bubbly person. Plus, I was primary carer for the children. So for the first time after a 22-year marriage, and it was my decision to leave, I thought, gosh, this is great. You're now in charge of two school children. One was only 7 years old. I did have my hands full, and I think I did resent him a lot of the time, and I'm grateful to him now in hindsight that he did let me call the shots. You know, you can see the children on Wednesday after school. Oops, I have to work late Tuesday as well. Can you have them? So he accommodated me in my suggestions, sometimes demands. I don't think I did it very nicely all the time. But because there wasn't any aggression or any animosity from him, it really helped us very quickly to not go down that route at all.
And so you were married for 22 years?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. More than half my life at the time of the divorce.
And do you remember when because you said you're the one who chose to leave the marriage, do you remember when you made that decision, when it was like, you know, when the seed was planted, so to speak, that it was the end? Do you remember that time?
Yes, I remember when I knew I had to do it, but it took me another 10 years to do it.
That's right, yes.
So it wasn't something that when you first realise this isn't going anywhere, it's not working, it's not what I want, and the time that you actually walk out. For some people, it's a simple decision. They haven't got the luxury of seeing whether things will improve or not. It's so ghastly they've got to go there and then, for lots of reasons. I wasn't that person. We just grew apart, and our dreams and things we wanted in life were no longer the same. And I didn't want to be a dream stealer for him. I also didn't want him holding me back doing the things I wanted to do.
And go on, sorry.
That time was, he was in commercial property, so we had lots and lots of fun times through the 80s when I first met and married him, which was very glamorous and full of all the toys and trappings that money could buy. I just thought, wow, this is great. life will only get better as a naive young newlywed. And then the recession came pretty quickly after that. So that was a big wake-up call. And so for the next 10 years, we adjusted to it. I felt I did. Sadly, he didn't, because he's the eternal optimist. So while he sort of scorned in the face of any kind of financial ruin, I panicked and just got more and more bogged down by it and couldn't see a way out of it.
Yeah.
And I think that was the turning point, really, the fact that we had very different attitudes to our future and our finances and our security.
Okay, all right. And when you decided that it was over and you had spoken with him, how did you go about it in terms of everybody else, around you, your family, your friends, your children? How did that work out?
I had tried to discuss it with family and friends, who all thought I was mad. Don't do it. What are you going to do? Oh my goodness, you and the kids on your own. Oh, he's such a nice guy.
Yes.
So I got beaten down by everyone and thought, okay, I'm not going to talk about this to anybody ever again.
Wow.
And I didn't. I didn't talk about it to my parents, my family, my closest friends, or the children, or Roy. I just waited and waited and waited and hoped things would improve. They didn't. I got myself a good job with prospects, and I went to see a coach, a communications coach. This sounds mad. And I said to him, I need to say something very difficult, but I need to get it right, and the person I say it to has to understand that this time it's for real.
Yeah.
So we practiced and practiced. The line started something like, I have something to tell you which isn't easy to say, nor is it easy to hear. I am leaving tomorrow with the children. We practiced it for 3 or 4 months, because that line, I couldn't say the line. I could get halfway, then I cried, or I'd laugh, or I'd be hysterical, or I wouldn't say it with the right intonation. And he, bless him, he worked and worked with me until I could say it and really mean it.
Yeah.
So when I did, he knew this time I wasn't joking.
Okay.
And so I did need a lot of help.
To
actually say it.
And during those 10 years, from the moment that you thought, I've got to go, to the moment that you left, how did you cope? And what is it that kept you there for 10 years and not 2 years or,
Yeah. I left when Ted, my youngest, was 7.
Yeah.
So I think the thing that drove me to keep enduring it was I didn't want to break up the family with a very, very young child.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to deprive him of being a part of a family unit, nor did I want to deprive Roy of having the joy of a baby and a toddler and everything else. So it might sound like a weak excuse, but I literally wanted to leave it at a time when I could explain to him what was going on, when he had the cognizance. And age 7, he was a bright little boy.
Yeah.
He did, and he took it very well.
Actually, when you're speaking and saying that, I was thinking that was a huge sacrifice you were making. There was no weakness in that at all.
And actually, in hindsight now, I think, kids cope. I see kids cope all the time.
Yes.
It's how you handle the separation and
Thank
divorce.
you. That's what I always say. Even in my work, I'm always like, the divorce, it is important, the separation. But
Absolutely.
What comes after that is what actually matters,
Exactly.
That's what can mark them for a very, very long time, as opposed to the fact that mommy and daddy have gone their separate ways physically,
Exactly.
Well, we'll stop here and then we'll come into part 2, and then we can discuss what happened then and how you and Roy are still friends.
Yep.
And also, I think a really important topic we need to touch on is the stigma around divorce, because I think that keeps a lot of people stuck in relationships that, are not really conducive to them and their well-being.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
We'll see you in part 2.